Yo, what up, what up? How's it going, P&K Space Imaging? Keith, thanks again for having me on the show. Hope you're doing well today. What's going on, Kimmy? What's up, Rune? Thorson? What's happening? Alright, early moon before dinner, before it gets way too high up. It's going up to like 76 degrees altitude today. And it's going to be really out of the way for me to scope, so this is the one for tonight. And get it in early. Looks really nice and sharp though, almost 95%. Close to full, a couple of days away. So far, hitting every night, and pretty excited about that. So hope everybody's had a good Moonday so far. Just gonna rock it out a little bit. Let me know if you have any questions about the shows over the weekend or any more thoughts. Just chilling with y'all here before dinner. All right. Sensei Camilo and Amethyst Crystal. Amethyst, I saw your comment. I also saw Tess's comment. Thank you, Tess, and thank you, Amethyst. And I think I had one other comment, but yeah, just catching up here, quickly set up to get the moon before it gets up too high. Amethyst Crystal, I saw the note you left me. I want to see if I can answer it quickly. I saw that video, just a little bit of it, but man, those types of videos are pretty intolerable, I gotta say. It's just like so much garbage. All right, let's see. So heart that. Kimmy says, listening to my awesome music on Catch over and over again. Thank you. Very sweet of you. Amethyst Crystal says, okay, so I'm the go-to moon man. Thank you. Giving great answers, so I have cred. Awesome. I saw a video today that I've linked to. See what you say. Sorry. Where is it? Okay, yeah. I saw this video I've linked to get today. Tell me truthfully how shite it is. I picked out some bits that I could tell were malarkey, but some seemed interesting. The comments were douchebags and yabos. I love all those, by the way. But I did respond to one. Let me know if you can check it out. All right, I'm gonna click on it and mute it. And okay, 28 earthquakes. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Let's see. I'm just scrubbing through it. They do have some images of sinuous rills at 245. Some actual images of the moon. Pretty surprising. 95% not real images of space. Lunar regolith at like 7 minutes in. Oh, what caused the moon to shrink? So I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, if it did shrink, I feel it's something like you know how like sponges dry up or coral kind of grow and they blossom and then they kind of lose their bloom and they shrivel up. So maybe the moon shrunk just a little bit, considering like maybe it was volatile and had things going on the surface, and then it kind of got dried out or burnt or toasted. So that could be what they're talking about. For me, it feels like things grow and then burst. I'm not sure things are spherical and then become smaller. Not 100% sure about this. Let's see. Right, 28 earthquakes on the moon. I'm trying to figure out what this is all about, but really it's just there's a lot of hype footage and quick editing and jumbly camera and stuff, so typically those are the types of videos that are not science to me. Anything that needs shaky cam or hype doesn't mean, it means it's like not good information. So that's what I got on that. I'll look into it a little bit later as well, see if I can't figure out what's going on. You say you saw Jupiter kiss Venus last night at sunset. Oh yeah, it's really awesome. And tonight I saw Saturn and Venus as well. But they're moving so quickly towards sunset, impossible to catch them tonight. Maybe I'll do a little quick shot of Venus tomorrow if I get on early. What's going on, Howie Dunn? Welcome. What's up, Annette Shirley? How's it going? Thank you. I'm glad I'm happy you like that show. Please feel free to ask any questions or check the description for links to other channels and gear and music, as well as check out my playlists, or if you have any certain types of things that you like want to see. I've filmed so many different things, and I have playlists of a lot of it. What's going on, Dapple Ben? Exactly. Moon has moonquakes. I love they're like there are 28 earthquakes on the moon. Okay, boomer. Okay, doomer. I swear, like, EU is catastrophism that's really positive, but like Big Bang cosmology is super doom and gloom. It's always like, things are about to hit the wall. We're gonna crash, everybody. I'm like, what about the fact that we're alive? No, but it's all gonna go to shit tomorrow. So popular science can keep their MO, but they're just gonna get overtaken ultimately. Hopefully people will stop listening and watching these channels forever. I love the way people write articles about like Fox News and MSNBC like they're news. Their titles should be changed from Fox is not news and MSNBC is not news. Ultimately, I feel like people are hungry for detail and transparency in business practices, and so all these channels that fund these idiotic videos will eventually cease to exist. Or they'll exist perpetually and I'll have infinite amount of content to produce to replace it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's really no point in complaining about things if you're not going to create content to replace what you're complaining about. That's what I'm doing, and I'll play some tunes. I'm going to grab myself a little drink here. I don't even know what I'm going to make, but I'll be right back. I really got is some water, so it's gonna have to do. Cold water is always good. What's happening, Tammy? I want to say I appreciate everybody who is not watching TV and making these stupid platforms obsolete. And they're stupid because really their desire is to sell and make money, not to tell you about science. They happen to use science to sell to you, but it really seems like they have no interest in furthering any sort of thing. So we got a really awesome 95 waxing gibbous, almost full, a couple of days away. We got Aristarchus in the bottom left corner, Copernicus and Kepler, all inside Oceanus Procellarum, Mare Imbrium, bordering on Serenity, Tranquility, Humorum, Nubium, and Fecunditatis. You got Tycho at the 5 o'clock position. Yeah, really looking nice. We'll do a little bit of zoom shots in a couple of seconds. Howie Dunn says that the television will not be revolutionized. That's pretty good. But also, the revolution will not be televised because really you have to revolt against TV. So by virtue of it being on TV, it's already established, pro-establishment. Does that sound hypocritical, being on YouTube? Maybe. But at least it's a discussion we can start having. All right, let me know if y'all have any thoughts or questions on the last few shows I've done, or if you want to zoom into a particular part of the moon. I've been talking a lot about hexagons and the conjugate field geometry, the torus with the hourglass, so a donut with an hourglass, and then all the shells or sheets or onion skins of plasma that contain all information, time, and awareness for every particle at every magnitude. And this is the true answer, which is, I know it's kind of maybe obnoxious or egomaniacal to say that this is the answer, but I've taken a lot of time before I've said anything like that, and this seems to be the one true shape that pervades all sorts of stuff in the universe, if not everything, including geology, cell structure, interactions between people, planetary bodies, quasars, nebula, beehives, molecules, words, thoughts, our human body, all recursively geometric along the torus, hyperboloid, and shells. This is the answer to how things work, why they work, and then what it really is that makes this geometry and consciousness. Definitely still up for grabs. So it's not the answer to life, but it's definitely the geometry of life. And I think it's a good starting point, as opposed to, is the universe still electric? Are these blah, blah, blah? Is there life out there? Blah, blah, blah. So fence sitting is excellent for marketing because it keeps people on their toes or on the fence about things. And so they're waiting for somebody to tell them who the next pop star is or what soft drink to drink next. And people think, oh, these businesses are out there to please me. They're out to give me good things. And the thing is, at the same time as, some things are tasty and it feels like you're getting the news, ultimately the purpose of those companies is to sell to you. It's not to give you good food or the news. They might happen to give you food and they might happen to give you events that happened in the world, but their main purpose is to deceive, because deception is business. And so is conspiracy as well. Everyone's like, no, there are no conspiracies. I'm like, business is all conspiracy. A group of people decide to sell you something that you don't know about, and you don't know how they're going to sell it to you until they do. That's a conspiracy. So simple, but never talked about. Everyone's like, oh, you're a crackpot, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I don't deal with conspiracies. I think what you're talking about is good, but I don't believe in it, you know? But I'm also not going to look into it. It's like pretty ridiculous. Hard to get past that. What's up, Miguel? How's it going? Since Camilla says, can you show us your craziest pareidolia that came to you while moon watching? Have you seen the lady in like the fishbowl woman who walks across the moon? Let me see if she appears. Like, if I can't do it tonight, I mean, I could do part of it. Yeah, I can do part of it. I kind of have to rotate the image in order to do that, but there's like a full-blown, like, surrealist garden with a woman strolling through it, and it's the largest feature on the moon. It's basically the same shape, or it's some of the same features as the giant rabbit on the moon, the jade rabbit, but this to me seems way crazier. I've done it before, but you might have missed it. John Hutcherson, is that the Hutcherson effect? Where he melted, like, where he softened metal and merged a spoon to a block of metal? Let me double check that. Hutcherson. Okay, Josh Hutcherson is an actor. Oh, John Hutcherson, sorry. Financial advisor. You might mean Hutchinson, right? Let's see, Hutchinson. Harvard, John Hutchinson effect, right? I think that's what you mean. Yeah. Experiments and terrible design definitely means he's onto something. Check it out. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, definitely check this out. Way back in the day, he's one of those cats who kind of did all those experiments, and essentially the long and short of it is he was able to understand that objects that seem solid are basically a certain type of resonance, and because we are resonating at a certain frequency, humans or like objects are hard in relation to soft objects, and soft objects, vice versa, are only soft in relation to hard objects. So he was able to create a sympathetic resonance and tune metal to basically turn it into putty or clay or malleable. And what it means is that essentially metal has its form because of these lattice geometry structures, these hexagons, honeycomb or slightly variant honeycomb dodecahedrons or whatever. And by tuning them, I would assume that he's essentially making a coherent field-aligned current within these metals, which I assume changes what you can do to it. I mean, it doesn't, like, obviously the Hutchinson effect doesn't last very long. He's basically blasting it with high impact discharge and creating a certain type of resonance that makes it soft for a second, and then it hardens right back up. That's sort of what I think is going on there. Hasn't been updated in so long, but that was the last thing I checked. It was like years and years ago. It's funny that you brought it up. What's going on, Trevor, and what's happening? Carolina Sky Astronomy, evening, pals. Hope everybody's had a great Monday so far. Let's get some more tunes on. And maybe I'll rotate this and I'll do some of this Pareidolia stuff. Sketching it up. So I got my sketch tool pulled up, basically MS Paint. So I'm running MS Paint through OBS, and I'm running a filter so it can make it see-through. And I rotated the moon 90 degrees so I can show you all the lady in the moon walking and explain it while I'm doing it so it makes sense. Just shouting out everybody joining. What's up Plain Truth, and what up Bro T, and whoever else is joining. Thanks for all the thumbs up, y'all. Remember to hit 4K, and let's do this sketch. So I feel like this also kind of came to me in a dream. It was like, or at least considering how to look at it. So if you look at the moon as if you were looking through one of your keyhole, like the fisheye lenses in a door, and you're looking to see who's in. And I was just envisioning that the moon obviously is spherical, but it's also creating this effect of like a fisheye of the visual that's on the surface, because all the objects or the features are being stretched towards the edge as they round out. So let us do this. Close that, pull up this. All right, keep it steady. All right, so roughly, there's the hair. There's a woman in a black dress with a really either very cute or very creepy looking face. But here's the hair, and it goes around, and this is the face, and the eyes, and then the neck, and there's a V-neck right there, and this is the tunic. There's a belt. It's her arm. And then this is the bottom of the tunic or dress. This is her leg. And there's like a foot that looks like a lamp. And then she has a back leg. And I think you could kind of make out an arm over here. It's a bit weird looking, but obviously when it's not moving, I can draw it a bit steadier. But I've actually, if you look back through my thumbnail videos, I've done this. I'll actually find it for y'all and share it. But I've actually sketched it really cleanly in Photoshop. So let me just adjust this. Whoa. All the controls are inverted. Okay, there's that. And then she's on this road in this garden. There's this crazy like pathway, and this is the sun radiating outwards. You imagine coming up over the hills and the trees. So it's this kind of landscape, and she's on a walkway. And there are these little rocks in the garden. And then there's more Pareidolia, but that's the basic one. Yeah. See if you can see that. I'm going to hide and show it a couple of times. But it makes, when you understand what you're looking at, the moon actually gives you so much more like holographic looking detail, because your eyes will fill in a ton of the data, but yeah. That is the trippiest thing that I've noticed on the moon. I don't think I've never seen anybody reference that one before. It does take a stretch of sorts, but I'll show you a little bit more what's supposed to be on the right side. All right, so that's the lady in the moon. Let's see what y'all think about that. Not touching that one. Let's see. Oh, guys, please don't get into a flat Earth conversation. I don't want to ban anybody today. I just want to chill. There's no point in discussing it. If you want the Earth to be flat, it is. If you want it to be round, it is. That's it. Really simple. It's obviously in everybody's... it's really in everybody's perception as to how they want to see the world. Why change anybody's? So please, with all due respect. Alright, etch a sketch on the moon. However, not to get into it, but of course I'm going to get into it, simply because there's a very simple answer to curved water, which is bubbles. So I don't know why that never came up really early on, but everyone's like, how does water curve? I'm like, look at a bubble, and you see water curving, because essentially water will take on the shape of a sphere and or a hexagon when it's packed. These are the strongest shapes in nature. Flat pancake is basically a slice of life. So if you want to live there, perfectly fine. If you don't, also perfectly fine. What's more important to me is lunar scarification by electricity, by interaction between planets, which will change really the paradigm of how we view geology and space and the age of space and the electrical nature, or at least the dielectrical nature, the dipole, and the geometry of space. So for me, that's way more important. But also Pareidolia is fun. So let me do a little more Pareidolia sketching. So Lady in the Moon, see you in a second. And let me show you this kind of weird Mickey Mouse Blues Brother cat with like tuft of hair. And then the rest of the hair is over here, like frizzy afro hair. And you got sunglasses right here. I think I've seen somebody reference this one before, but it's rare. I think this is like torso-ish. I don't know, I can't get away from this one. It's not as perfect as the lady, but you can definitely see the face. Let me hide that and you can take a look for yourselves. It's almost looking off to the side with a little smirk. Yo, what up, buddy Doggerty? What is bubble theory? Dodecahedral, hell yeah, welcome. Buddy, here, actually can I drop a link for you? Let me know. Or if you want the wrench for a second to drop a link. Everybody, this is Buddy, who's come up with a brilliant model. We've chatted, and essentially this whole idea that I've been sharing with y'all is definitely Buddy's idea as well. And he's done so much more work, really, than I have. But it's pretty much in line, and there's no shame in having similar research. But yeah, let me show Buddy actually the shapes that I've been seeing on the moon and see what he thinks. Everybody give Buddy a thumbs or what's up, and definitely let me know if you want me to drop a channel link. Whoa. Oh, it's still inverted. I forgot the camera's still on. I was like, what's going on? The direction's wrong. Yo, what up, 24/7? I believe it's Gary, right? What's up? It is a nice night. Yep. Very beautiful out. Let me see, did I miss anybody? What's up, Scott Ferguson? While I agree that lab electric scarring can look like these geological features, it may not also scale from the lab to the size of planets. I would argue that everything in the universe is pretty much the same geometry, and that's the most efficient way it would work. There's no reason for quantum mechanics and interpersonal stuff on Earth and physics on Earth would work one way, and then the cosmos would be completely electrically inert and not in touch. It doesn't make any sense, actually. And it actually makes a lot more sense for businesses to project that type of mentality so that people feel like there's no answer to things. If everyone's like, oh, I can never know, it's way over my head, it's just too big a number to imagine. Imagine. It's always like this, oh, if they could possibly, maybe, somehow, possibly could. Nobody's going to tell you like, yeah, you got it, that's exactly what it is. Because that's not a good sale. You always want to make somebody feel like they don't have a blanket so you can sell them another one. I mean, that's really what it is, right? So feel free to believe what you want, but ultimately the moon is carved up and it's boiled over. And like, what impacts create these very perfect features that look like Pareidolia because of the same reason. Because we look like Pareidolia, and the moon we look like we're grown along a filament or a vine. So does the moon features. It's all, and not just the moon, many planetary bodies. Yo, what up, Easy E? And what up, Brighton Cotter, Flower of Life, exactly, sphere packing, or bubbles, and then, it's several things at once, of course, but that's really root. What did I miss? That's it. Oh, and Genghis Khan, what's going on? Yeah, please push me or test me on the electric crater theory, because I've done a ton of research on it now, and I've looked at a ton of videos that I have actually in my playlist, so it's not just talk. Please go check my playlist for impact versus electric, and really just see for yourself. Take a look at Billy Yelverton, Electric Universe Eyes, Dive Fly Fish, Electro Terra Vision, CJ Ransom, and then read Velikovsky and Juergens and watch the whole series on electric-scarred planets and moons. And then go to NASA and go to Wiki and type in impact craters. And if you find a tenth of the information about impact craters, then come and show me, because I'd love to see it. Everybody who talks like so much shit, I gotta say, like, I know I sound pissed, but I'm not. I love challenges. But I gotta say, like, I read some of the comments on Electric Universe, and it's so insulting and childish. They're like, blah, 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 you're an idiot, and you're an asshole, and you're a fool, and they offer no evidence, no videos. They're just like, it can't happen. I don't believe it can happen, therefore it can't happen. And I'm like, hey man, slow the F down. There are so many videos on YouTube that require that type of attitude. Go and hit up like 2-Minute Physics or Veritasium with that attitude. I love Veritasium as full-on idolatry. You get to Thunderbolts Project where they're actually telling you real science and giving reference material, and people are like, you're an idiot, it can't happen. Sorry to burst your bubble. Speaking of which, sorry to let you down, honey. It's super pedantic, aggressive patronizing, and a lot of people know exactly who they are and who talks like that, and it's just so tiresome for me personally. So be done with it and go find me some evidence. What's going on, Matt? How's it going? And who else we got joining? Yeah. I mean, yeah, like literally bring me on a show or come on my show and tell me about evidence that shows impacts. Give me one video that shows an impact like Aristarchus or Copernicus, any one of them. Show me one, and then let's figure it out. Scott says, would there be a fulgurite under the craters? Well, see, I gotta say, like, I don't know as much as, let's say, Michael Steinbacher, who, he died, but there are tons of videos, or the guys who really study geology, like Andy Hall and the Electric Universe cats. So I would ask them about fulgurites and fulgamites and that whole structure, because they really get that. For me, it makes sense that I see dendritic ridges under the surface, and you definitely see dendritic filaments coming out or emanating from around craters. And even the craters, the word is just like, doesn't make sense much anymore, because really, ultimately, I gotta be honest, I've looked at videos and there are articles that are not articles, there are papers that are coming out now that are actually completely validating this. And it's not mainstream, but so the scientific world is pretty aware of the fact that electricity dictates, or at least electrical interaction or electrodynamics is what's actually running the universe and geology and stuff like that. And it's just not mainstream yet. So, yeah. Who else? Heck yeah, buddy. Thanks so much, man. Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with the cat from Veritasium wanting to make money, but you know, they have like millions of views, and not a single piece of like actionable evidence for people. It's all anecdotal, like especially the NASA crater stuff. Like here, I'm gonna give you guys this playlist because to me it's a joke. Like people who giving me shit about craters, go show me NASA videos that look serious. They're playing with cake pans and cocoa powder and flour and iron spheres and smashing them on a table and making people feel stupid. This is not science. This is high school experiments with no logistical approach. It's just what they heard, it's just what NASA put them up to, and they make these videos and people are like, no, that's how craters are created, it's impact. I saw the flour in the cocoa and it spurted out, and that's it. I'm not gonna look into it any further. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? There's so much to be known. Let me share this with y'all, because even though I thumbs down all these stupid science videos, I actually save them so that I can share how stupid they are with my fans who get it. But here's this growing playlist of mine. It's got 30 videos in it so far. But please go show me how electric arcing is not way more compelling than impact. Especially look at Ceres, look at Comet 67P, look at Io, look at Charon, you know, Pluto's moon, and tell me that things are getting hit over and over again in a bubble fractal arrangement, or things are being boiled by high electrical discharge and creating what naturally looks like bubbles in a sink, or coffee being poured over, or networks of honeycombs in your cells. The biggest part of this for me, and the simplest proof that you don't have to do any work, is look at the moon and then look at your hand. Your hand has all those dendritic ridges and filaments and branching right in your hand. It also has the two mirrored symmetry hexagons, and it's got the tube, or really the center of the Birkeland current, which is, you know, sections of tubes. Yeah. Buddy Dougherty, again, has incredible information on this, like, you know, maybe 10, 20-fold what I've worked on. I'm just scratching the surface here, but he has all the language and the math behind it, or at least the physical geometry. So yeah, definitely give Buddy, ask him some questions. I appreciate you hanging out here, Buddy, and it was great chatting with you, of course. All right, let's see. Did I miss anybody? Let me know if I missed you. Like, again, it's still dark mode in YouTube Studio, and I can barely read things, so I'm struggling here a little bit, but I think I got y'all. What was I going to do? I was going to I shared the playlist. Please share that with people who tell you, yeah, what do you mean? But it's already settled. Impacts, settled. That's it. Go look at those videos. And then similarly, if you're interested in that, I've caught so many other phenomenon that really, like, if you want to look, if you think about UFOs, you can just take a look at some of the best of in my collection. And not that you need to watch my videos, I'm sure there are a ton to see, but I have a lot of things passing by, and I can tell you that I feel like all of this is man-made. We are the aliens. So what was I going to do? Okay, I had the lady in the moon. I showed you the Blues Brother on the moon. What else can I show you? There's another... Here, I was going to show Buddy, actually, the hexagonal structures that I talk about, even though he's seen the video. Let's get some music in the background. Also, suggest somebody I should have on the show next week. I'm going to try and do like a Saturday or a Sunday chat. I really enjoyed chatting with Tess, And I've had Rick on the show, and maybe Electric Universe Eyes, or maybe even Buddy, or just somebody that you think I should try and get on the show, or somebody who would dare talk to me. Not many wanna actually engage me at all. So we'll see. What up, Yo Q? I'm talking about like a 2-hour chat, like something like I did with Tess, where we can just talk about anything and just speculate and go into detail about it. All right, some more hexagons, even though now all I can see is the lady and the moon. But check this structure out. That's a hexagon, that's a pentagon, and that's like a molecule. This is how molecules are structured. It's how beehives are formed. This is the flow. I'm drawing on its side, but this is essentially the idea. The very center, you got the filament going through. Same thing here and here and here. There's a ratio in the sizes. It's like an abdomen of a spider or an ant or a tick or whatever. It's also the shape of the mouth and the nose and the bridge of the eye and the spinal column. You got golden spirals coming out. Pulsating. This also references Russellian math, if you're interested in that sort of stuff. And let's see. The blue diamond Phillips. Hilarious. I'll have some blue diamond Phillips. Actually, you know what? I'm going to set this camera up again so I don't get screwed up with the direction arrows. I'll be back in a sec. I'll tell you straight up, I've chatted with Crow like a couple of times. I was like literally the first interview on his private podcast when he got off of YouTube. And while I respect Crow very much, we absolutely disagree on so many different things that would be kind of just futile for us to debate. He wants to do what he wants to do. I want to do what I want to do. And yeah, he definitely inspired me to get into this. And you know, he's free to approach his brand of waking people up, but I disagree with a lot of what he says. Same thing with Jason, to be fair. Like, I also like Jason very much, but this idea that things are being hidden from us and that's all we can do is just exhausting. You can definitely change things. Let's see, he's saying Bruce from Bruce Sees All. Also, that type of just, I don't know, really not interested in that type of discussion. I don't want to debunk aliens, I'm exhausted. There are things that we can really talk about that exist, and there are things that are fantasy. And I think there's so much fantasy out there, and there are great rooms online and videos to talk and idolize fantastical things like The Mandalorian and things like that. But for me, it's very clear that electroscarification is happening on planets, comets, We got plasma universe. Science is already on its way there. I'm not waiting for mainstream YouTube and fake news outlets to tell me that it's okay to think about the universe like this. It's very simple. Just move forward, do your own thing. Cyber Sully, what's going on, says just look closely at what appears to be extensive surface blistering everywhere. This alone would dispel the impact theory. 100% been saying that. It is that obvious, but the really kind of big connection that struck me was these hexagons and pentagons that are just everywhere. But even if you type in crater formation on the moon right now into YouTube, one of the first links will not be my video discussing possible electric scarification. You will get like a ton of videos about why are moon's craters perfectly circular? And I'm like, have you looked at the actual moon? Like it's idiotic to me. People who write titles like perfectly circular are just people who've never done any research. So tough. They're definitely not perfectly circular. Case in point, we're looking at the top of the moon. This is the border between Sea of Serenity, Salt, and Tepper. Sea of Serenity and Sea of Tranquility are bordering just like a sugar molecule would grow out. Of course, there's hydrodynamics going on, but really, ultimately, the shape of the universe, the geometry of the universe is what makes this even possible. So whether or not chicken before the egg, electricity before geometry, or dielectric consciousness before geometry, or both simultaneously. But this is the shape. This is the shape of a mouth. This is the shape of the chalice. This is the inverted pyramids. This is the tetrahedron, the Star of David. This is molecules, honeycomb, infinity, it's golden mean, it's periodic table, it's time, it's awareness gradient, it's age, it's a longa filament. Go watch anything from Nassim Haramein to Thrive to Gaia TV to New Age, and they're all talking about this one shape, pretty much. And what nobody will tell you is that, yes, that is the shape, let's move on and figure out like how it all interacts, which some people are doing. For example, like Ken Wheeler talks about how, like, at least the way I interpret it, that this point right here, actually if you mix kind of Ken Wheeler with Don Scott's thinking that current induces magnetic fields versus magnetic fields creating currents or creating movement, I feel like, let's see, this mutual mass acceleration idea of every single point being a mass or matter existing at this pinch, and then a pinch, seeing another pinch basically creates a pinch between the two of them at a ratio of basically, like, depending on their density or charge density or mass. Each of these has its own donut, apple core, inertial plane, and then between the two, they create this null zone, which is counter space, so it's like anti-space in a way, and they both are attracted towards this point between the two of them, as opposed to, oh, that's not being drawn on your screen, unfortunately. How do I do that? Let me do that again. Yeah, two masses, like this guy and this guy over here, find a point, and they're both drawn to that. This is what attraction, or so-called magnetic attraction, is. And I think Ken says that gravity is essentially it's not even a field, right? He says gravity is a termination of magnetism. So I would assume that it's just a very small after effect, an attribute of this mutual mass acceleration that's been misinterpreted. I think it's that simple, actually. All right, scrolling up just a little bit, just to read what y'all are writing. Blue diamond, exactly. All right. Kimmy, sorry that I always feel like I'm dissing people that you like. I'm not dissing anybody. I have respect for all of them. Just don't agree with what they are talking about. I feel like showing actual footage of the moon and telling people for sure that there are aliens is a bit salacious, with all due respect to Bruce. Maybe he's changed his ways and doesn't think there are aliens anymore, but if you have that kind of technology and you're showing people high-res images of the moon and saying that you can see bases and craft, then I think you're misleading people. Prove me wrong. Also, Cyber Sully about the extensive blistering. Hell yeah, absolutely. Remote viewing and astral projection is something that absolutely exists. And in fact, I think it's also misinterpreted. I think we remote view and astrally project all day and all night. When you imagine things and you empathize with people and you think about people across the world, that's remote viewing, and it's also morphogenetic field. So really you're already experiencing and doing and interacting with telepathy, and the smartest thing a brand or the government could do is tell you, no, you haven't achieved it yet. You're not great yet, when you're already great. That's really what I think remote viewing is. I've studied it extensively, and it's this idea that you can go see places that you've never seen before seems like hyped up magic, but it's not. If you practice really hard projecting your thoughts into our Earth ether, or ether Earth, then remote viewing is definitely possible. It's probably done by so few people because really it's not public. Most people think it's not possible because it's magic, but if the whole world believed it, then you would create these tentacles that would reach out and make people be able to remote view much more easily. So happy to talk about it though. And astral projection, outer body experience, all the same sort of thing. We're connected through these plasma layers. If you can get your mind to experience it in a different way, then that information is there. It doesn't make it less cool, but it makes it less like, oh my God, I'm the only one who had this experience. Or, oh my God, guys, take drugs and so that you'll have this experience. Or only the CIA can remote view because the spooky language, or we're already doing it and we're already superpowered. Cynical syndicate. Let's see. Electric pinches. Simple answers are usually true. What's going on, Chris Kelly? Welcome. Nice to see you on the stream. Everybody say what's up to Chris Kelly. Put together a cool page for TakeBackSpace. So thank you, man. Here, an Everypedia. I've never really seen this one before, but I assume I'll take it as a I'll take it as a compliment that you did this work. So thank you. Here, this is the link to it, and y'all, I guess, can add to it. Or yeah, I think some of the info is a little bit different now because I've changed the gear, and I will add to it or give you some feedback, Chris. So thanks so much. Rupert and yeah, if I could talk to Rupert Sheldrake and just validate him by being like, well, Terrence is dead, of course, but I'd be like, yo, Roops, I know you were talking about the morphogenic field back in the 70s and 80s. You were right back then, so sorry that people are taking forever to believe you, but you're right. Think about it. Think about how many discussions you have, these esoteric conversations, and somebody's like, hey, have you heard of Rupert Sheldrake? And I'm like, man, you know how many times I've heard about Rupert Sheldrake? Never has somebody come up to me and said, hey, you know, Rupert Sheldrake was 100% right. I practiced telepathy and it worked with me. You know, that's what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm working on that sort of thing. Like Eileen McCusick has spent 25 years studying the human biofield. Gerald Pollack, All these cats have already done the research. This sitting on the fence thing is kind of exhausting for me. It's like, how long are we going to wait before somebody's like, hey, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Let's do this. Hey, yeah, that's, yeah, definitely. That's, I said it too, like not to insult Thunderbolts Project, but they definitely have this thing where they're like, hey guys, it's pretty surprising that mainstream is not really catching on. And then the comment section is like, why are you guys waiting for the mainstream? And then Thunderbolts doesn't respond. And then the cycle keeps going. I mean, videos from 5 years ago from Thunderbolts Project are the same type of thing, where they are 100% right because the visual evidence is there. And NASA literally is baffled by every single mission, or they know exactly what's going on. So either publicly, they're completely puzzled and baffled, especially the language they use, man. It's so idiotic that I feel that it must be planned. Like people like the head of research, the Scott Bolton cat, or Jim Bridenstine, the way they talk is, things were cold where we expected them to be cold, and things were hot where we didn't expect them to be hot, and therefore things are the way they are. And I'm like, what? Like I know what they're talking about, and it's so insane. It's like insane language. And you know, they do it with politics too. It's like insane talk to me, because I'm like, are you serious? You have all the funding, you have all the technology, and you don't know what the hell you're even doing? Case in point, they didn't send a plasma unit to a recent comet test. Like Eugene Begachov was talking about Oumuamua and Ryugu and Bennu, and they sent this mission that literally almost landed on the freaking asteroid, but they didn't send a plasma lab. That's insane. That's crazy talk. I mean, you'd get fired for shit like that. Nope, nobody questions. Yeah. Let's see what else. The government wants to close our minds and control us. Well, yes, but it's not because they hate us. Like, we make them, you know, and they make us. So it's not like we can get rid of all of it. Like, it has to exist, but it's up to people to take it or not take it, right? If people just turned off Fox News tomorrow, that would be it. I don't think people understand that if people just stopped voting and stopped watching Fox or CNN, then they couldn't exist. People are like, no, I turned it off. But if everybody turned it off, that's it. They would go out of business. Same thing with clothing. Retail is going out of business. Meat products are going out of business. Wheat in America has been forced to like either remove gluten or to pretend they removed gluten by printing a label on a box. If you can get American wheat to change, you can definitely get idiots out of science. Matt says, do you believe we went to the moon? This is a very complicated question, because I think belief is really not what the question is. For me, it's about, is it technologically feasible? And I have to say, yes, it's technologically feasible. Did 12 white men leave Six Flags Great Adventure on the moon? Maybe. Like, there seems to be a ton of evidence to show that they did go. However, I think government agencies completely fabricate shit all the time because they're a business. Because business practices require tricking their user into funding them further, right? So NASA invests a ton of time into outreach, right? A lot of their videos are like, look at these flag pins, and look at these women at NASA, and look at this look how many people did math by hand for Apollo. Far less videos about, in 2 years, this is what we're going to do, and this is what the science shows. Far less videos that are like, here are the 5 things that we got out of the Mars missions, the 5 like actionable products or things that people can take away. Or this is what the lunar rock samples yielded. If anybody knows like the lunar conspiracy stuff that Jarrah White does, He's an actual astrophysicist and a geologist. He did a double major, and he's actually done way deeper of a soil and rock analysis from the moon than anybody, like any person alive today. How? Why Jarrah White on YouTube? I mean, think about it. I mean, the money that's gone into these agencies and how many reports and how many debunk mythbusters and douchebusters and what's his name ruins everything and 2-Minute Veritasium and junk science and Dr. Becky. How many silly faces can you make before it's freaking obvious that we're not on the moon? There is no space program that's active. People are doing jobs like working at Walmart and McDonald's, and they're not going to the moon. People don't even know what the frick, like the people who are supposed to go to the moon don't even know what the names of the places they're going on the moon. It's like saying, like, I was laughing, but please go look it up. Actually, let me find it because this is a deep cut video, but it's a joke. I mean, the guy was like, oh yeah, we're going to Oceanus Procellarum, the Sea of Storms. I mean, that's like saying I'm going to India, but they're actually going to Iceland. And then what did he say? He said, Mare Serenitatis. It's the Sea of Tranquility. I was like, you just said serenity. What? And nobody corrects him. It's not that somebody can't make a mistake. It's that it's idiotic that you have 6 other people around them with reporters and nobody knows that he messed up. It's literally like saying Japan instead of India, or like Wisconsin instead of New York. I don't know. Not that I know Wisconsin. Why did I think of Wisconsin? Wait, let me see if I can find this. Because I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? I've said that a lot tonight, but... I'm just going to read through these comments for a moment, take a breath. I will say the Mandela effect is definitely not real. There's nothing wrong with believing in manipulation of mind and thought, but pretty much every example I've seen is something that people are just misremembering. Yeah, that's a simple debunk for me. I've looked at it's the same thing with UFOs. Find me one picture of convincing evidence of aliens and I'll change my mind. But it doesn't exist. Everything is easily debunkable at this point if you know a little bit about plasma cosmology and the structure of the universe. So Mandela effect, nope. Mind control, yes. Maybe some people are having their own Mandela effect, so they're forgetting things, but telling other people that history has changed when it hasn't is like something I can't really agree with. It's just another thing not to study actual geometry, sadly. And it's not anybody's fault, really. It's very enticing. It's seductive to think that there's a government group that is manipulating memories. It's like the memory parasite thing from Rick and Morty. But ultimately, those are so fantastical, it's much cooler to think that we have a moon, an electrically scarred moon, and a different cosmology that is really active, and comets, and that we look like the universe, and that we're super empowered, as opposed to like the government is changing our history and thoughts. Nope, they're not. They're not even idiots. They're very smart, but they're relying on people consuming. People consume. That's what it really is. If people stopped watching this particular cat who they're doing this thing right now, Twitter is rife with people consumed with vengeance. And then people are like, I'm against vengeance. but they're all about vengeance because they're so focused on this one cat and a few people around him that they're willing to spend most of their days focused on this guy. It's crazy. We're all gonna die. That's what's amazing, is that we're all gonna go to our death. And you're gonna spend your life worried about some rich cat, or you're gonna do some work. Like, I don't know, man. I'm done with that. Same thing, the words inside jobs, false flags, without Hollywood and the mainstream media, and without hyped up music behind those terms, they're not as seductive as, if you read them back, you'll realize, like, an inside job could be anything. When you cook a dinner for your family, that's an inside job. Conspiracy is basic business practice. False flag is just a very seductive term when you're conspiracy hunting. But what does it even mean? It just means that people are creating movies, and they do it all the time. Hollywood is constantly creating movies, and theater, and tests. They run drills constantly. Everyone's like, oh, I got that alert, that Amber Alert, and they just go on with their day. I gotta debunk all of that. Inside jobs, false flags, it's all branding and business and marketing, and it's only an inside job and a false flag because you allow it to be. Also, same thing with Mandela effect. Who cares when whoever died or what book was called what? Like, think about how much time is being spent on, woo, it's Mandela effect, but like, are you doing science? Are you making content? Or are we just being spooked out by clever propaganda? I could be completely wrong about what I'm saying. Also, I'm willing to change my mind, but that's where I'm at right now. Look at anyway, I know a lot of people might think I sound very judgy because people have made YouTube careers on these types of concepts, but it's pretty exhausting for me. All right, time for some tunes, and I'll have a quick smoke and check out what's going on outside. It's got a really gorgeous moon tonight. I don't even know what to say except tonight's a beauty moon, even though I'm ranting the heck out of things. Let me know what you think, if you think I'm totally wrong up my own butt about being arrogant about things, but I really think that it would be nice to finally go into 2020 being like, yeah, the universe is this. It is electrically scarred, therefore let's look into history. Let's look into how we are God. Let's look into how we can have telepathy and anti-gravity, but without businesses, or we can make our own businesses, but you're not going to wait for a business that doesn't want to sell you anti-gravity to make anti-gravity. It's like waiting for iPhone to have a good battery. They'll update the emojis 10 more times before they give you a battery that lasts. Laptops, same thing. I mean, the choices that companies make either are insanely dumb or they're insanely accurate. And I would bet that they're insanely accurate in terms of making you buy more shit. Which is not bad, as long as you understand that. See, I can't shut up tonight. All right, I'm gonna shut myself up with a bass line. some bass line coming in to accompany the moon zoom. One more song and I'll hop back. I'm real hyped up tonight, but leave me some questions. Thanks for all the love and thumbs up. Remember 4K and share this with a friend. Be kind and share real space. And please challenge me on a topic or two. I'm happy to talk. Whoa. I muted the wrong thing. Damn, I thought I was being smooth. Now I'm being smooth. Real smooth. We'll start up at Mare Crisium and Proclus, Mare Marginis, Undarum, and the Edge of the Moon. Through my faith, all that matters, what's I say. In your dreams, you erupted, got corrupted by the cutlass on the brain. All day stuck in this body, sick of this party, civilized heartaches, all you say. Because this place, it seems so fine. Just let me do mine. Way. All right. Whoa, that was really loud. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't blow anybody's eardrums out. Oh, damn, Tam. Not good burning your finger. I burnt myself the other day as well. It's just healing. All right. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Been playing for a long time. Finally figured out like the correct muse, and it was space. Once I started writing music about space or for space or just to back the visuals, I finally figured out how to find my sound. And it just happens to be just like that, really that style of music that I really like, which is, I love a really great pop song. So something like 10cc or Steely Dan. I love 70s obscure, not 70s obscure prog from either the Manchester scene or, the Canterbury scene, like Caravan or Hatfield in the North, or there was also Camel, and then there's some weird one-offs like Automatic Man. There was this band with Ian Gillan from Deep Purple. I'm just trying to remember, like Captain Tomorrow. No, it's not Captain Tomorrow. It's this amazing album I'm gonna have to share with y'all. Check out this channel called Terminal Passage. I shared it once, but I'm gonna share it a few more times because this guy or gal or couple puts up some of the best music ever. This is life-changing playlists, and one of them was an Alcatraz record. You'll see, this is kind of oddly, I started writing things that I hadn't even heard. Like, I'll link y'all to this guy, and I literally just discovered him a year or two ago. I was very late to the party, but Ashra, is it Ashra Temple? No, it is, no, it's Ashra. It's Manuel, here it is. Okay. So it's Manuel Gutsking, or Gutsking. He has a band called Ashra, and it's essentially this cat with a synthesizer and a Strat. I think it's a Strat. And he's just literally just making noodle tracks. I mean, pretty much it's stuff that I write. Like, and I found him and I was like, damn, did I really pick up all this stuff from this guy? If you enjoy the Ashra New Age of Earth record, he has this other one. If you dig deeper and find more about Manuel Gutsking, he has this record called like E5. It's like a chest cover. And man, I'm telling you, some of that stuff is exactly like some of the stuff I played, like lick for lick, guitar tone, attitude. When I first heard it, I could almost tell what he was gonna do next. It was that crazy. And I'm telling y'all because I think a lot of y'all have heard my music now and kind of resonate with it. But really listen to Ashra and Manuel Gutsking, and I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, so close to how I play. It's nuts. And then if you mix that with like really strong songwriting, like George Michael, all the 80s pop songs like Bowie, Prince, and before that, of course, Beatles onwards. Like I really liked rock and roll songs for a while, but they really stopped being interesting after a certain, like I can't really listen to Guns N' Roses, and I can still listen to Metallica, I gotta say. But GNR and like some of the stuff that I used to listen to as a teenager, I was just like, I don't find as much bliss in it as like something like from like Caravan or Camel. Like, man, Camel, God, I gotta give y'all I should just do a whole show with just sharing amazing tunes, but talk about just like phenomenal. And they really never got their due. Camel is like one of the best bands ever. It's like a cross between Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, and no one I know has ever mentioned them to me. $10cc, I was listening to $10cc. Actually, I was watching a ton of $10cc videos last night. I've already done my research on them, but it was the Odeon show, I think. Live 1974. It's just Eric and Graham. So the two of them had already left. No, 74 is Godley and Cream had already left, but man, so freaking talented, it's insane. Yeah, at the Odeon. This I was watching last night, which is amazing. If you've never given $10cc a chance, or you've only thought it's like I'm not in love, then you're missing out on like some of the best pop writing ever, and honestly best music moments ever. I don't say that lightly. Prince could write, Bowie could write, they could really write a song. I mean, look at Pretty Things, or Life on Mars, or what's that song that I really like from the 80s, from Scary Monsters? It was, I'm trying to think of the name. Man, I'm phased out right now. I'm thinking about $10cc, but you know what I mean. All right, what do y'all think about all this? Did somebody say Lou Reed? No, it says love Bowie, but I read Lou Reed. Of course, Lou Reed's also great. What's up, Holloway Arts? I knew I missed somebody. Considered once that the giant stone spheres found on Earth were giant Martian blueberries. Any thoughts? I absolutely think so. It's possible. It's also possible to carve stones with sunlight and what are essentially very rudimentary Fresnel magnifiers of sunlight, and you can also cut stones with water pressure, and you can also field align rock currents, like Ed Leedskalnin at Coral Castle probably field aligned all these coral. Coral is a very porous rock. If you've ever heard Eugene Bagachev talk about Oumuamua and Ryugu, he talks about this porous type of rock. And I think that's why Coral Castle I went there, and it's pretty amazing, but you have like 3-ton stones that tilt on a tiny axis. So I feel like if you have porosity, high porosity, you can charge rocks a certain way, and rocks are just like everything else in matter. They're running off of charge density and plasma and or ether and or consciousness, light, whatever you want to call it. Same stuff, same shapes. So hell yeah, Holloway Arts, I definitely agree. It's possible that these huge stones were Martian blueberries at a massive size, like the basalt columning, that you have natural hexagonal formations. I feel like I'm getting some clouds here, or maybe the moon's just getting way high up already. Sorry, I don't mean to neglect, but I'm just chatting with y'all. Let's go over to Tycho Brahe. Yo, what up, Brahe? Tycho, these rays around Tycho, one, are never talked about in the mainstream. Ask somebody who denies electric universe, cosmology, or electric scarification of the moon to explain these parallel rays coming off to the left that actually don't emanate from the center of Tycho crater. They basically, if you extended them, hey, I've got a drawing program. Let me extend them for y'all. Not to mention what type of impact crater leaves both striations and parallel rays, like this combination of effects essentially, is much more akin to TriStar. And I'll show you this. This is what the hidden geometry is, but not hidden, but geometry that is unnoticed. God damn, my tracking sucks tonight. It's really tough when I have to put the telescope further down the staircase. I can't get my head around to the reticle, the little red laser thing to align the scope, so my alignment is kind of poor. Forgive me. Alright, so Tycho crater. Even though Tycho, you're like, you always talk about hexagons, Tycho doesn't look hexagonal, but it is. At the very top left corner, if you zoom in, you'll see that it actually is straight line, corner, corner, and then on the right side it's actually pushed. There's a lot of pressure, so it kind of got eroded a little bit. So what's really interesting to me are these parallel rays that come off, and you'd think that they would emanate from the center point of impact, not go parallel to the crater or the blister. So this thing. I'm trying to keep it both. But here's what I can see, or what I'm seeing, is this. It's what we saw in Proclus. It's kind of, it's a little bit off. But that's what I'm sort of seeing. And that is a signature electrical scar. Ordered geometry. The other thing that you see in impact craters in a laboratory is the thing that actually hit this, if it did, right? So something that would have to create an 80 kilometer across so-called crater would also be of a giant magnitude. I'm talking about 80 kilometers, like massive, the size of a state. So how big was the impact, right? Of course, the mainstream will say, well, it didn't need to be that big, it just exploded because it was going so fast, and it exploded over the surface. But still, then what are these rays that are coming out that extend over like 400 to 500 kilometers? And this, further than that, I showed this the other night, but you can also see this shape right here, if you look closely. This is really fascinating because it does exist. Can't really see it in this relief. It was showing a lot better the other night, but because really a triangle, actually you can sort of see it. Not just that, there's this other triangle right here. Look at this one. That's much more defined. Deciphering the moon will show you your own reality. Or it's shown me my reality, at least. Let's see what's going on in the chat room. Just popping in here. Yeah, Ramones are great. The Cure, definitely one of my favorite bands ever. Easy. Most of my writing, honestly, probably sounds like The Cure, ultimately. Like Pink Floyd and The Cure. Yeah. Got my first record, Head on the Door, like in '87, like right around when it was released, and I didn't understand it. And then I listened to it again in my teens, and it broke me. And then I got Disintegration, and then Wild, what was it, 13th? The one with Friday I'm in Love. And then I got Cure Show, the double CD, the live disc. That was amazing. Played that a lot. But the Ramones make me think of a band that I don't know if a lot of you have heard, but Marky Ramone, the drummer, before going, becoming a part of the Ramones, he was in this band called Dust. And Dust, I think, is probably one of the best, like, hard rock / that you could say early metal bands, but also bands, just in general. So check out Dust. It's a trio, and they really, were incredible. Just put a ton of rock bands that I used to hold in such high regard to shame, and these guys were never like, they never made it, so to speak. I will say I love Supertramp. Supertramp is amazing. I mean, there are so many bands. I'm not even going to start. I shall do a show where I'll talk about it. I can just do a whole show just about the Moody Blues, or the Doors, or Radiohead, or the Smiths and Morrissey. Like, Morrissey has put out tons of albums on his own. People give him so much crap, but Morrissey is still one of the best. All right, checking out Ascendi Crater here, Mare Humorum. Yeah, so Dust, Automatic Man. Let me link you all to Automatic Man. They did 2 albums, just phenomenal albums. Where is this? Anyway, I'll do a show at some point which is all music. Not such a huge fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan, you'd think, right? Same thing with Hendrix. Like, even though as a teenager I loved Hendrix, he's really held in very high regard, but I think it's just because he had an impact on the scene. But in terms of his playing and writing, even though I know I probably sound a lot like him, and I play a lot like him, it's not really, I don't know, it's just not as tasty, let's say, as, let me see, who can I say who's just like a player that I still like? I kind of stopped liking guitar players, but I will say this cat I linked him from Camel. That guy's an incredible player. Andrew Latimer, completely under the radar. Obviously Gilmore and Page. I can't take away, I can't not admit that I really was influenced by both of them tremendously. But I guess I don't listen to it that much anymore. Exactly. Okay, little break here. I need a drink. Speaking of rock and roll, let's move into some of that tunes. I got an album that I never released called Societies, and it's just like some of the heaviest stuff that I've done. It's hard to be a one-person show when you're doing rock and roll. Way easier to write pop, but I did try and do it. I got a drum set, and I played all the drums, or some of the drums. I'm just scrolling here, let's see. I'll probably have to put this out at some point, but this is called Societies. Alright, y'all. Moon's getting pretty high up there. I'm getting hungry. It's been a great show. An hour 45. I'm gonna call it. Let the moon drift off. It's like going up to 75 degrees altitude tonight, like way overhead. Tonight, this will be the show. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Keep the stream streak going. Have the moon from basically 7% or 6.5% till now. That's going to be awesome, running that video from 0 to full, and then we'll see how many moons I can get after full. Actually, the moon tomorrow and the day after, and actually over the next couple of weeks, is going to be rising closer and closer to M42. So at some point it'll be like pretty much in frame to move from M42 to the moon. I think a couple of nights. Pretty crazy. Let me know if y'all have any further questions or comments in the chat. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me time and time again. I appreciate every one of you, including people I disagree with, because you're just as important. Yo, Silent Murmur, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate all the kindness, everybody. So Silent, Cyber Sully, Amethyst Crystal, Kimmy, Tammy, Broti, Trevor, Matt, EOQ, Holloway, Sensei Camillo, wow, there's a lot of chat. Let me know if I missed you. I can't scroll up any further, but that's it for me tonight. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Be safe, be wise, and share some wisdom. Peace, everybody.